Good morning, my beautiful grandkids and nieces and friends that are watching with us who are learning how to be courageous, aren't we? Yes, we are. Abigail was the courageous one yesterday. And so the story takes right up where it left off in 1 Samuel 26. And you're not going to believe this story today because you're going to think, hey, we already had this story. No, it keeps repeating itself. Can you guess what might be happening? Yes, you're right. That old King Saul, he just cannot leave David alone, can he? Even when David saved his life by not killing him in the cave. Remember that story? So, in verse 2 of chapter 26, Saul took 3,000 of Israel's elite troops and went to hunt him down in the wilderness of Ziph. Yep, he did. But you think David's afraid? He doesn't like it, does he? He's tired of it. I'm sure he wants to go home. But he's not afraid. David continues to be the courageous one, and what he does today is just flat out crazy. Look in verse 3 to see what David does. David slipped over to Saul's camp one night to look around in the enemy's camp. Saul and Abner, son of Ner, the commander of his army, were sleeping inside a ring formed by the slumbering warriors. So get a picture of this. There's King Saul and his head commander surrounded by, in a circle to sleep by all these warriors to protect them during the night. And David said, "Who will volunteer to go in there with me?" And Ahimelech the Hittite and Abishai son of Zur, Joab's brother. Abishai said he would go with him. So David and Abishai went right into Saul's camp, found him asleep with his spear stuck in the ground beside his head. Abner and his soldiers were lying asleep all around him. Well, guess what Abishai says? Same thing they said last time. It's like, look, God has surely handed your enemy over to you at this time. You can kill him in a minute. In fact, Abishai says, let me do it. Let me pin him to the ground with one thrust of the spear, and I won't need to strike twice. In other words, I'm going to kill him the first time. What do you think David's going to say? No. Just like before, he said, I will not kill the Lord's anointed. So that's what he says in verse 9. Once again, David says, no, don't kill him, for who can remain innocent after attacking the Lord's anointed? He said, surely the Lord will strike Saul down someday, or he will die of old age or in battle. In other words, I'm leaving his life, Saul's life, up to the Lord. That is not for me to decide. The Lord forbid that I should kill the one he has anointed. But remember what he did last time? He cut off the hem of his robe. Well, this time, he's going to take Saul's spear and the jug of water that's right there beside Saul's head. And then he said, let's get out of here. So David took the spear and the jug of water, and they got away without anyone seeing them or waking up. And don't you think that God surely had them in a deep sleep? That God must have helped them in this situation. I'm not sure. It's very strange, isn't it? But look what it says in verse 12. It actually says that the Lord did put Saul's men into a deep sleep. So David climbs the hill. This is where he's always a little bit mischievous, isn't he? He climbs the hill, but he wants Saul to know that he's not his enemy. So he climbs the hill opposite the camp, and he's a safe distance away now. And he shouts down to the soldier and to Abner, "Wake up, Abner!" "Who is it?" Abner demanded. Abner, you're just such a great man. He kind of makes fun of him. He says, hey, you're supposed to be guarding the king, you and your men. And you just probably deserve to die because King Saul could have been killed last night. And he said, you failed to protect him. He said, look around and see where the king's spear and his jug of water is. Then Saul recognized David's voice. He said, is that you, my son? And David said, yes, my lord. And David asked him again, why are you chasing me? What have I done? What is my crime? But now let my lord the king listen to his servant. If the Lord has stirred you up against me, then let him accept my offering. But if this is simply a human scheme, then may those involved be cursed by the Lord. For they have driven me from my home, so I can no longer live among the Lord's people. They've said, go worship pagan gods. Must I die on foreign soil far from the presence of the Lord? In other words, Israel, they were God's chosen people, and they had the presence of God with them. And David is tired of it. He's tired of living in these foreign countries. He wants to come home. So he's saying, if the Lord has inspired you to try to kill me, then, accept my offering. But if it's just a human scheme, in other words, if it's your own made up idea, then may you be cursed. In other words, that's not right. It's wrong. I want to come home. And then he asks him again, why has the king of Israel come out to search for a single flea? Why does he hunt me down like a partridge on the mountains? In other words, who am I, King Saul? I would never hurt you. Then Saul confesses again. He says, I've sinned. Come back home, my son, and I will no longer try to harm you, for you valued my life today. I have been a fool and very, very wrong. So it's like King Saul gets it in these moments. He understands, and then somehow as time passes, he forgets, and then he's chasing David again. And David said, okay, here's your spear. Let one of your young men come over and get it. The Lord gives his own reward for doing good and for being loyal, and I refuse to kill you, even when the Lord placed you in my power, for you are the Lord's anointed one. Now may the Lord value my life, even as I have valued yours today. May he rescue me from all my troubles. And Saul said to David, blessings on you, my son David. You will do many heroic deeds, and you will surely succeed. Then David went away, and Saul returned home. So it's like he recognizes the anointing that's on David's life, and he even blesses him. And David is just saying, hey, I'm going to depend on God. Just like I valued your life, then God will value my life. And he continues to show his amazing integrity that he has. So do you think David's going to go home? No, he does not trust King Saul, does he? How could he? So he says, some days Saul's going to get me, and the best thing I can do is escape to the Philistines. So now he's going to where the Philistines live, and we'll read more about that tomorrow. But in this chapter, I think is just a reminder for us to be courage, even when something keeps happening over and over again to us, that we continue to stand for what we know is right and not take matters into our own hands. David could have killed King Saul, but that would not have been pleasing to the Lord, and it would not have been the right thing to do. So even after you face something and you think, oh, I did that good, I didn't lose my temper, or I didn't hit my little brother, or whatever it is, you may have another opportunity to do wrong or to do right. And a truly courageous person will choose to do what is right. He did not succumb to what his main man told him to do. He tempted him to think that the Lord had given King Saul into his hands. But David knew in his heart he was able to stay strong and courageous because he knew what the Lord's will was for him in this situation so he could stand strong. So we need to know in our situations, what is God's will for us? What is the right thing for us to do in this situation? And then stand strong in it. Well, I love you guys so much. And I hope you have a wonderful, courageous day. And know that God is in you. And you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. I love you guys. Bye for now.